Namaste students. Today we are going to learn a new poem that is A Labanum Talk by Ted Hughes. Before we start the poem, let us know about what is labanum. Labanum is nothing else but a beautiful tree which is not very big in height but a small tree which has yellow leaves. Leaves turns yellow during autumn and it has yellow flowers. Flowers are like bars. So this yellow flowers beautifies the trees, and this particular tree is used as an ornamental tree in the garden which beautifies the garden. And this particular tree is mostly found in the southernmost part of Europe. This is said to be the poisonous tree because each and every part of this tree is very poisonous. But because of its beauty, the beautiful flowers, the yellow color flowers, it beautifies the garden. It is planted over there, it is grown over there. So let's now move to the next part, that is to know about the poet Ted Hughes. His real name is Edward James Hughes. He was an English poet, he was a translator, and most important thing, he was children's writer. Critics frequently rank him as one of the best poets of his generation and one of the 20th century's greatest writers. He was appointed as Poet Laureate in 1984 and he held the office until his death. So when was he born and when he died? His date of birth is 17th of August 1930 and he died on 28th October 1998. So this was regarding the poet. Let's begin. Let's see what he says in the poem. This is just the theme of the poem in short, and then we'll go in detail about the poem. The poem, The Labanum Top, is a beautiful poem in which the poet has used the labanum tree and goldfinch as a symbol of life and its fluctuations. In this poem, the poet describes how the visit of a goldfinch changes the labanum tree. The goldfinch transforms the tree and makes it come alive as the chicks of the goldfinch start to rustle and chirrup on seeing her. Once the goldfinch leaves the tree, it becomes quiet and still again. The labanum tree symbolizes the pattern of our life in general, which is usually dull and inanimate. The goldfinch breaks the usual pattern and makes it lively. Without the goldfinch, the labanum tree is just like another tree. In other words, it is the attitude of a person towards life that makes life meaningful and worth living. So this is the main gist of this poem. It's a beautiful short poem which gives a very meaningful, or you can say which gives a very strong lesson to us, how we take our life, how we live our life. It depends on us. Life is dull, but it depends on a person how he makes his life. So here we have the example of a labanum tree as life, and the fluctuations is symbolized by the goldfinch. So here the poem begins. I have used the words, or you can say figures of speech, in red, and the meaning of the words in the next slides I have given it. I have underlined the words which are difficult to understand, or you can say the poet is using here to emphasize certain thing in the poem. The labanum top is silent, quiet, still in the afternoon yellow September sunlight. Now September sunlight here is alliteration because the sound of sir is repeated. A few leaves yellowing, all its seeds fallen. You can see in the picture you have a labanum, beautiful labanum tree. All the other trees, they are of green color, dark green color, light green color. But this particular tree is, it attracts us because of its yellow color. So here the labanum top in the sense the top of the tree. The labanum top is silent. We don't know what is happening inside the tree in the interior, but the top of the tree is silent. The labanum top is silent, it is quiet, it is still. Why? Because it is afternoon. If you see in the afternoon, we don't have a strong breeze or wind blowing. So this particular tree is silent. Afternoon yellow September sunlight. A few leaves yellowing, all its seeds fallen. Actually, one thing I forgot to tell you about labanum tree. Labanum tree is a deciduous type of tree which sheds its leaves and everything during the season of autumn. So if you remember about geography, you have coniferous trees, you have deciduous trees, you have cactus type of trees. cactus type of plantations and all. So here this particular laburnum tree falls in the category of deciduous trees. So here, before falling the leaves, when it becomes dry, it turns yellowish color. Flowers are already in yellow color, so entire tree looks yellow. So this is what the tree looks in this in the season of autumn. So let's read what is given over here in the description. The poet describes a beautiful sunny autumn. The laburnum tree is silent and still. It is laden with yellow leaves and yellow flowers in September, because in the month of September they have autumn season over in European nations. Its leaves have turned yellow because of the autumn season, and all its seeds have fallen. So this is what the first stanza in the poem describes. I hope this part is clear to you. Let's move on to the next stanza. Till the goldfinch. Now let's listen first to the beautiful sound of goldfinch. You can just close your eyes and enjoy the sound. Right? So, till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup, a suddenness, a startlement at the branch, and you can see here is the goldfinch. The color of the bird is same as the color of the flowers, color of the leaves of the tree. So, just then a goldfinch alights on the laburnum tree, making short, high-pitched sounds. You have just now heard the goldfinch sound. It gives a high-pitched sound. It enters the tree. It sits on the top of the tree. You can say at the branch end it sits. The goldfinch has her nest in the tree. Now this part we were not knowing, and the poet has not revealed it out, that yes, why the goldfinch has come to this particular tree, because it has its nest in the tree. On the mother's return, a sudden movement steals the tree. Till the mother comes over there, the chicks are silent. You have seen the small chicks which cannot fly. They wait for their parent. They wait for the parent, you can say mother, when she comes, or when it will come and feed them. And you have seen the small chicks keeping their mouths open, and the mother coming and feeding them, right? So here the goldfinch has come. She has brought something for her chicks, and her sound, her high-pitched sound, her chirrup, her twitching chirrup, is heard by the chicks. They are awake. They are calling. They also start making noise. That is what is beautifully explained in this particular poem. Till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup. Now goldfinch we have already seen. You can see the picture. It's a small yellow bird. Twitching is nothing else but a small, often involuntary movement of the body. In this particular poem, it means brief. Okay? Chirrup is, you all know, the sound made by the bird is called, I will say as chirrup, right? A twitching, a brief chirrup. That is onomatopoeia used over here. What is onomatopoeia? We are going to learn after the end of all the onomatopoeias used in this particular poem. We'll just recall what is onomatopoeia. A suddenness, a startlement. Now, suddenness and startlement, the sound sir is repeated. It's alliteration over here for more effect in the poem. So, a suddenness, a startlement at a branch end. If you see, I have underlined the words which I have given on the right hand side, the meaning of it. So, twitching we have already seen. Chirrup also you all know what is that. Startlement. Startlement actually here means the instance of being startled. You have seen a bird, as soon as the bird sits on the branch, it is not quiet, it makes sudden movements. So even here, the goldfinch has entered, it is sitting on the end of the branch, it's going to enter inside now and go towards the nest where her chicks are there. So then sleek as lizard. Now here simile. The movement of the bird is compared to a lizard. Now you have lizards in your house. If you don't have, it's very good. But yes, lizards, if you see, they don't make any noise while walking, right? So then sleek in the sense smooth. Then sleek as a lizard and alert and abrupt. Alert and abrupt is again used as, no, again alliteration is used over here. Abrupt is suddenly. She enters the thickness. Thickness in the sense the thickness of the tree. The bird enters, suddenly she enters, smoothly she enters the thickness of the tree, and a machine starts up of chittering. Here machine is, what is machine and what is, who is this chittering? Chittering, of course, you know, the young ones of the birds, when they make noise, it is called as chitterings. This word we are not familiar, but the poet has beautifully used over here. And here again, chittering is onomatopoeia. Okay. And a tremor of wings and trillings. Tremor means shaking of wings, and trillings is nothing else but a series of high-pitched sound. You have seen the small chicks. No, they make high-pitched sound to attract their mother towards them, that yes, we are here, come and feed us, we are hungry. So again, trillings are onomatopoeia, onomatopoeia used over here. The whole tree trembles and thrills. Here again, trembles and tree trembles and thrills is alliteration used here for more effect to be used in the poem, the poetic device used over here. So trembles and thrills is nothing else but shake violently. Let's see the meaning in brief. Of course, nothing to know. Before that, let's see what is onomatopoeia. In this figure of speech, a word is found, a sound similar to it. Examples of onomatopoeia in this poem are twitching chirrup, chitterings, trillings, and whistle chirrup. Whistle chirrup is going to come next in the next slide. This is nothing else but it is called as onomatopoeia. I hope it is clear. A word formed from a sound similar to it. Now you have this twitching chirrup of a bird, you have chitterings of the young ones, you have trillings of the young ones, and you have whistle chirrup of this particular goldfinch, which she makes later on while before leaving the tree. So let's see the meaning of the previous line. Then sleek as a lizard and alert and abrupt, she enters the thickness, and a machine starts up of chitterings and a tremor of wings and trillings. The whole tree trembles and thrills. Here the poet has compared her sleek, alert and abrupt movements to that of a lizard. The goldfinch has been called as a machine over here. So here, which is the machine? Machine is the goldfinch over here. Okay. Her little ones are excited on her arrival, and they are chirruping and chittering. As I told you, as soon as they get the sound, they hear the sound of the mother, they also are activated. They are activated, they open their beaks, they are waiting for their mother to come and put something what she has brought into their beaks. Or why? Because they are feeling hungry. Next line, it is the engine of her family. Here, metaphor. Now we have learned about similes, we have already learned about metaphors, we have already learned about alliteration. When are they used and why are they used? Here you see it is directly compared. Simile, she was compared to a lizard, but here the metaphor she is compared, the comparison is directly used over here. It is the engine of her family. She is directly compared to be the engine of her family. Sorry, what is the engine? The chicks are the engine of the family. Stokes. Now she stokes it full, then flirts out to a branch end, showing her barred face identity mask. Now showing her barred face identity mask is transferred epithet. We have already seen transfer epithet in the first poem. It is a photograph. So here again we are going to revise what is transferred epithet. So it is the engine of her family. Now you will see the meaning of the words underlined. Stokes nothing else here it is but adds fuel. What she does, she feeds her young ones, and the young ones they become more energetic, they become more active. Barred is nothing else, okay, flirts, moves abruptly or jerkily with light steps. You have seen a bird, it is never heavy. You feel bird to be light, right? So light movements of the bird. And barred is what? Stripped. Her, showing her barred face identity mask. Let's see about the transferred epithet. A transferred epithet is a description which refers to a character or event but is used to describe a different situation or character. Now here if you see in the poem they have used her barred face identity mask. It's an example of a transferred epithet. The flowers of laburnum tree, if you see the flowers of laburnum tree are like bars. Okay. Looks like bars, and when the bird sits behind the flowers, the shadow of the flowers which falls on her face, it seems that as if she is wearing a mask which has the shadow which falls on the face. Shadow falls like bars. So as if she has worn a mask that has bars. Okay, so the shadow of the flowers on her face looks like she's wearing a mask that has bars on it. This is what? Transfer epithet. So let's see about the explanation of those particular lines. It is the engine of a family. It stokes it full and flirts out to a branch end, showing her barred face identity mask. By feeding her young ones, she has added fuel to the machine. As a result, the chicks now have the energy to be active and make noise. After feeding her chicks, the goldfinch flies up and rests on the end of the branch of the tree, her identity concealed behind the yellow flowers and yellowing leaves. Now slowly she goes to the end of the branch, and now slowly what she's going to go, she's going to move back to the sky, or you can say in search of food, to get food for her young ones. Then with ear delicate whistle chirrup. We remember whistle chirrup, again we have used onomatopoeia over here. Of course we have not used, poet has used. Whispering, she launches away towards the infinity, and the laburnum subsides to empty. It is what? Ear is what? Strange in a frightening or mysterious way. Launches means flies. Infinite, if you see, it's the sky, it is the limitless. Subsides to empty, becomes silent just as earlier. So here, what is the explanation? We'll just see. Simple poem, but it has a deeper meaning and it has mystery behind it. Then with ear delicate whistle chirrup whispering, she launches away towards the infinite, and the laburnum subsides to empty. So after some time, the goldfinch makes a strange, short, high-pitched sound. Then she flies away towards the infinite sky. The laburnum tree becomes silent again after the departure of the goldfinch, and everything seems to be the same as it was before the arrival of the goldfinch. Before the arrival of the goldfinch, what was it? It was complete silence. So this is what is the end of the poem. Why I said it has got deeper meaning, because this particular poet, Ted Hughes, he had married Sylvia Plath. If you remember, you had a poem in 10th standard, The Mirror. Of course, I think for you it was not there, it was removed from the syllabus. But she is a confessional poet, and it is said that at the age of 30, she committed suicide. If you see in the beginning, they have used Yellow September. Yellow September is nothing else, but the September month is, it symbolizes a campaign to spread awareness about suicide. And here, if you ask, or if you just see the deeper meaning of the poem, the laburnum tree is nothing else but the life of the poet, and goldfinch is nothing else but the his wife, Sylvia Plath actually, and the kids. So here, like, he wants to point, because he was very, very sad after her death, he wants to point about how the life was with her presence. And now, if you see the words, the lines what he has used is, let's see here, and the laburnum subsides to empty. The laburnum, she launches away towards the infinite. She went away, she is no more. And again, our life has now become empty. And yellow, why? Because yellow symbolizes death. This we did not, because will not be asked in a CBSE syllabus. It is just for your information. You can do more research about, you can search more about it. You can think deeply about this particular poem, but the main thing is what? It's a very beautiful poem which tells about the fluctuations and about how the life is dull, and it depends on how you take the life, how you make your life. Okay, so it's a beautiful poem. I hope you liked it. Read the poem. You can once again go through the video, go through the meanings and even the figures of speech used by the poet. Try to understand the poem. If you have any doubt, you can ask. So with that, we end with this particular poem, that is the Laburnum Top. See you then. Bye-bye. Take care.